And now it's time for a podcast with Kel Beyond. Keep dreaming, my friend. Keep dreaming.
Hello and welcome to Keep Dreaming, episode 12, the first episode of the new year. Today is January 16th of the year 2022, and my wonderful guests today are Professor Miloarty, Professor Miloarty, we'll go with Miloarty. We'll say it correctly. InsaneAlphaBeta and Aevox23. Three delightful dreamers that I have got to know mostly here on Twitch. And
Yeah. We're still muted, right?
Nope. Now you're live. You just got unmuted. Just in time to say we're still muted, right? That is the sound of Aevox. How you doing today, Aevox?
Can you hear him?
I can't hear him.
Oh, okay.
You can't hear me? Oh.
Oh, Kel, we can hear you on the stream, but we can't hear you in the Discord. Is that
Sorry.
normal? Okay. No.
I unmuted you. I undeafened myself. I did not unmute myself for you.
It was weird because we could hear you on the stream, but we couldn't hear you in the Discord.
That would be a confusing way to do the show if you had to hear everything about, 10 or 15 seconds late. I had just said that was the sound of Aevox's voice. Aevox, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Also doing great. InsaneAlphaBeta, what is the sound of your voice?
This.
Sometimes this.
But mostly this.
I was going to say, yeah, it sounded different a minute ago. And Professor Miloarty, how fare thee today?
I fare well. I'm good.
Yeah, we have to do. We got to do it all Old English today. That's the theme. Extra formal. So anyhow, yeah, this is this is the first show of 2022, like I said, and boy, we in the Beyond's household, we just had our baby Freya turn about 3 months old, and she is. Her sleep schedule is starting to stabilize, but unfortunately, it's the stable part happens at like 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. And then from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. or so, it's usually like that's bonkers time. But I don't want to sleep. Some nights it's I want to scream and nothing else. Last night she wasn't too bad, but I still I had to pass her like a football to like an American football to Mrs. Biones at about 6:30 in the morning.
That's the image of you throwing like a football.
Yeah.
So I could try and get 4 hours
I'm
of
gonna
sleep.
pass it over.
You didn't kick her across the.
That's a struggle of every new parent, isn't it? Is getting used to those sleep cycles and everything, and getting it does get a lot easier when they get used to sleeping.
How old is yours, Aevox?
My daughter is 2 years old.
2 years old. So yeah, tell me about how your nights of sleep go these days. I want to fantasize for a minute.
She sleeps throughout the night, so that's for the most part. That's and she can sleep independently. So we lay her down, and sometimes she needs a little bit of convincing, but after a while, she goes to bed and she stays asleep.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that. The worst / best part of it is when it's like you've been going for a couple hours and you're getting a little stressed out and you're saying, you're cursing at a baby. Yes, I've cursed at the baby. The baby can't understand yet, so I'm taking full advantage of that fact. And then
because at one point they will repeat everything.
Yeah. It's that is a really nice advantage of having a 3-month-old is I can curse as much as I want and know that she won't repeat it. And also we can watch whatever we want on TV. You can watch like the most violent, gory movie you've ever seen. And she just, I think she still just sees bright lights. Totally cool with it. Oh, but yeah. So I think I am. I honestly I feel more mentally deficient today than I have on any other podcast. So I've been saying this a lot lately, but I need you all to do the heavy lifting today, and just carry the intellectual load for me to the best of your abilities.
Oh, I think we're screwed.
Well, that's it for the show, everyone.
I have talked to Milo on the show. Milo was on the Impy Awards panel. I've talked to InsaneAlphaBeta voice to voice before, and
we were playing Halo, which we need to do again.
Yes, I've not done a lot of Halo.
Man.
I mean, in the past, since I bought Death Stranding, I have not played a lot of Halo. Are you still getting down? You're still enjoying the Halo?
Oh, yeah,
Right.
the campaign especially. Honestly, I think I could say that Halo Infinite's my favorite Halo game at the moment. I love it that much.
It plays really, really well. Like just the action and everything feels really smooth. Like it's very fun to play.
Campaign is so good.
I'm playing on PC, and I have I don't remember what the graphics card is. It's a hand-me-down from my brother, but he's got a really new one, and this one's not that old. It runs well, and then I got to this one campaign mission where I'm flying in a Banshee, and it crashes. It just crashes every single time. Just a hard crash. And this game doesn't drop frames or anything. It just runs. It's perfect, fun, and then just takes a dump. And so I just...
You tried not using the Banshee?
No, no. After like the fourth crash, I went, I think this happens every time I get in the Banshee. And I think maybe it's just trying to load too much, at once, because the Banshee's like an air vehicle. But yeah, no, I just haven't come back. Death Stranding has got me. It's got me in its clutches. Have any of you played that? This is a Dreams podcast. We never talk about other games, but let's talk about other games. Has anyone else enjoyed that?
I have yet to try it, but it's on my list.
I can't believe how much I like it. It's really consistently surprising me, and how elegant the design is in points. Like it's, you can't see the seams most of the time, but if you're paying attention, you start to notice so many little things that are just really nicely designed about the environments and the gameplay, and super enjoying that. Aevox, I was going to say, has this is the first time I've spoken with Aevox outside of a text format, and it's lovely to have you here. Now you are in the great state of Texas.
Yes, that is correct.
I feel like I know a lot of dreamers from Texas. Pixel Gorilla's down in Texas. Who else is down there with you? Do you know any?
I think Treble is also in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big state. It is a big state,
yeah. I think probably a few others.
As long as we're talking non-dreams, just to warm ourselves up, what have you been playing that's not dreams lately, if anything?
I got into recently Miles Morales, the Spider-Man game. A little bit late to the party, but I mean, everyone's going crazy over Spider-Man right now. So, and my daughter's favorite character is Spider-Man now.
Oh, nice.
She's running around in a Spider-Man jacket at the moment.
Yeah, how do you play Spider-Man? Because when I was really little, I had two brothers, and my mom made us all Superman pajamas at one point in time with a cape. And so we were all about Superman, and you obviously play Superman by running as fast as you can from one area of the house to another area of the house. Do you play Spider-Man the same way, or how does that work for a 2-year-old?
For a 2-year-old, you have them. Well, she got kind of like a little playground in the backyard, but besides that, we'll pick her up and pretend that she's climbing on the walls and such. It's pretty easy with a 2-year-old. You can just carry them all over the place, and they're pretty light.
Spider Pig.
It'll be harder when they're. It'll be harder when she's older for sure, but right now it's pretty easy to keep them entertained.
Nice.
And by the way, you say you had 2 brothers growing up. I had 6 brothers growing up.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big family.
Yeah.
I immediately feel sorry for you.
And now is that 6 brothers
Where
and
were
0
you?
sisters, or do you just not mention the
That's
sisters?
correct. No, it's I was one of 7 boys. I'm one of 7 boys.
Wow.
No girls.
Now, do you know off the top of your head? Do you know what the odds are of being one of 7 boys?
It's 1 over, let's see, 2 to the 7th power. So yeah, it's pretty unlikely.
It looks like you're talking about wow. I mean, if I just mathed correctly, it's far under 1%. It's we could round up to 1/10 of 1%.
It's not even close.
It would be. Let me do some quick maths here. It's 0.0. Wait 1 second.
Why don't we play
I
Entropy's
gotta-
coin toss game until
make sure
we
I do my
get
math
7
right.
7 wins in a row? That'll be the
It's
show now.
0.78%.
I did math correctly. I just did 0.5 times 0.5. I mashed the enter button a little bit. That is. So where did you fall in the chronology of 7 brothers?
Oh, second oldest.
Wow.
And I'm 27 right now.
So you're like the Riker of the brother crew.
Yeah, just about.
I was going to say Lieutenant Riker, and then I couldn't remember. Is he a lieutenant or a commander, or maybe he was both at different times? Any Star Trek nerds on the show today? Oh, that silence was deafening.
Riker was he was second
Been a
in
while.
command.
Been a while.
I have to admit this. I haven't actually watched it yet.
Do you mean to say you have never seen like an episode of Star Trek? Any Star Trek?
If I have, I don't remember any of it.
Wow.
I've only seen
I
the
only
Next
watched
Generation.
Star Wars a few years ago.
All right, now
And that's
I
because
got
my dad was a big fan.
Let's go right for it. We're not even going to talk about dreams today. I'm just going to ask you personal questions for 2 hours. I want to know how old is everyone? Would you, Alpha? Do you mind sharing?
28.
You're 148 years old, right? Because that's what the number is.
28.
28. And Milo
I am 30.
and Aevox.
I guess I'm the youngest one, 27, but I'll be 28 this year.
Oh wow! Look at all of you, right in that demographic. So, I assume that Milo and Aevox have not managed to live their entire lives without seeing a single episode of Star Trek.
I have seen Star Trek, but mostly just the Next Generation. I haven't really watched much of the original series or any of the others. And what I have seen of them didn't really hook me very much. I like the Next Generation, and it's pretty much the only Star Trek that I like. Funny story though, my nephew, who is going to be born soon, my brother's considering naming him Jean-Luc.
Really?
Which, if you've seen the Star Trek series, that's Jean-Luc Picard is the captain of the Enterprise.
He's got his own show now. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
So
It's pretty good.
I totally support that. So hopefully that ends up happening. I'll have a
Jean-Luc.
nephew named Jean-Luc.
Now, is it named after Picard? Is that the idea, or is it?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. That's bold. I didn't try to sneak any Star Trek names into the list of potential baby names. But you know what? If we have another one,
You were considering Riker. Riker would be a pretty cool name too. I have to
Riker
suggest that
is
one.
kind of a cool name. Now that you mention it, oh no. Better not hope we have a boy in the future, because I kind of like Riker now. But all right, well, so now it's a good thing we've established this, because now I know that I need to spend the next, I don't know, hour 45 or so talking about Star Trek. Let's go. No laughs. It wasn't very funny.
It was a nervous laugh.
Well, we're on the topic
Nervous in
of.
case I was telling the truth. In case that was real.
We're talking on the subject of things that are not exactly dreams, but this is kind of related. there are some rumors going around that there could be a Little Big Planet 4 coming out.
Really?
And yeah, it's still in the rumor phase, but supposedly there might be an announcement of a Little Big Planet 4 this year. Now, I guess my topic for discussion would be, do we need a Little Big Planet 4? And, given the fact that Dreams now exists.
Okay, so
and how would we feel about it if there was one?
I mean, on a scale from, I don't know, Dreams Plus to something else, how accurate do you think this is? Is it a leak? I mean, was there something leaked, or I haven't heard about this yet? Do you know?
I've heard about it a couple of different places. I mean, it's about as credible as any Reddit rumor.
Is the rumor that Sumo Digital is going to do it?
Oh, it could be. I haven't gone that deep into it.
But you did pose.
It could just be a platformer, like someone said in chat. I mean, I honestly think they did a good job with that with the Sackboy game for PS5. I mean, it keeps the Sackboy character popular, and it doesn't really it doesn't conflict with the creation aspect of Dreams.
Yeah,
it's just a solid platformer.
I mean, I guess I think the question of do we need one is an interesting question, and boy, I mean, I wonder if I feel like there probably is a place for something like that, for a as accessible and easy as Dreams can be. It's also dense and difficult at times, and I think I've heard from a lot of Little Big Planet people, just reading random comments, that that they kind of miss. They kind of miss that more closed, more limiting environment. I think just when you put a lot of limitations in, I think that that can make people more comfortable being creative at times.
Yeah, because I mean, the core mechanics are all figured out.
Yeah,
it kind of leaves that way. You just have to focus on the level design more than anything else. So I mean, there's some pros to it, I think, but you also don't want to split the player base. Like if you have half of creators making stuff in Dreams and then spending half the time creating stuff in Little Big Planet, I feel like that could just fragment the player base or creator base, if that's a word.
Now, did you?
Slight interruption. I have to take the dog outside, so I'll be right back.
No problem. Did you play Little Big Planet yourself, Aevox?
Oh, I did. Yes, I played a lot of Little Big Planet. So I was playing Little Big Planet since LBP1, and then I really got into the creation aspect in Little Big Planet 2. And I remember one of the big advancements of Little Big Planet 2 was the Sackbot. So the Sackbot was the kind of the equivalent of the puppet in Dreams. It was a programmable bot that could do just about anything, and you could use Sackbots to serve as avatars for the player. So, for example, if you wanted the player to play as a specific character, because in LBP you had your character that you could customize. But let's say that I wanted to make a story-based level in LBP, I could now create a Sackbot that looks exactly how I want it to look, and everyone who plays that level would play as that Sackbot. So you could do that, for example. But you could also use Sackbots to be enemies, and you could program them to follow you or to interact. You could just be NPCs, all kinds of crazy things like that. So LBP2 had a lot of really cool features like that just made it, just really opened up a lot of possibilities. And then LBP3, I wasn't into as much. I think that's when Sumo Digital took over. I don't think it was as big of a step up as LBP2 was from LBP1. Yeah. I think it was more of a small jump, I guess. And the main difference I can remember from LBP3 was the addition of different types of characters. But I didn't really spend a whole lot of time with LBP3. I think I don't recall too much why at the time, but I think I was focused on school at the time. I didn't really spend a lot of time, but I spent a lot of time in Little Big Planet 1 and 2, I think.
Did you
a lot of hours.
you spent a lot of time creating things then?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Did you
Oh,
publish,
you mean
did you publish
outside?
a lot?
Nothing particularly good. But I think I just enjoyed the fiddling around with things and the logic, and I think that's why Dreams logic came kind of more natural because Little Big Planet had the microchips and it had all that kind of things, the logic gates and everything.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Little Big Planet experience is a help for anyone coming into Dreams. Milo, did you play Little Big Planet at all before Dreams?
No. So I came in at the launch of Dreams. So I had not played. I guess except for like a level at a friend's house in high school. That's like my extent of LBP history.
Were you
Um,
on a PlayStation during that era?
well, I couldn't actually like afford a PlayStation back then. I was like an avid PlayStation person. I'd read magazines, watch videos. I'd be like hooked into the PlayStation, I guess ecosystem, but I wasn't actually able to play anything early years of the PS3.
I remember
Wasn't
that
until like
life.
Slim came out when I was able to get a PS3. But that was, I don't know when, with respect to Little Big Planet 2 that was, but by then I guess Little Big Planet wasn't on my radar. I was more into first person shooters because they're pretty straightforward. Well, that and the narratives like Uncharted, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually know that Little Big Planet had like creational aspect to it. Had I known, I might have been more interested into it. Because as far back as I know, really only like the newish, like there weren't that many games that had like player. I guess
Like
I don't want to say
user
modability.
generated content.
Yeah.
UGC.
There were games. UGC. Yeah, I remember that starting to be a thing, but I didn't. Yeah. So the LPP4 rumor, interesting, but I mean, I'm more of a dream guy when it comes to the creation
Yeah, I mean,
aspect, so I don't have a history with that.
personally, I love creation games, but I don't. I hear LBP4 and I imagine if I went to play that, I would just keep feeling like I should be playing Dreams instead.
Yeah.
Once you know how to use Dreams and I've now taken for granted this insane ability to sit down at a PlayStation and create anything I want, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Seems
crazy.
like a hard sell going back to LBP. Like I feel like if you wanted to make an LBP now, I don't know, my goal would be to make it as simple and approachable as possible. I mean, to try and improve on that as much as you can, just to differentiate it from Dreams in the sense that, yeah, Dreams is always going to be this very dense environment with a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Either it would be like, if they were to do LPP4, it would be like a light sprinkling of creational tools where maybe it's a stepping stone to people getting Dreams, but then that would, I guess, be cheapening Sumo's work or whoever makes it work on the game itself. So rather than being like an entry level Dreams thing on its own, maybe they should they could still have the creation part on it, but maybe double down on what they did on the PS5 launch game, the Sackboy Adventures. I don't know.
The
Maybe
Sackboy
it's
game technically LBP4? Technically?
I would say maybe in spirit it is, but I guess technically it's not because it's not called that. But I don't know.
He's more of like a Mario character.
How would you guys
now,
feel if LBP4 was in the style of the new Sackboy game rather than the 2D kind of 2.5D view?
Well, I never got to play the original Little Big Planet game, so I don't think I'd care.
I feel like the original Little Big Planet games were really about that sort of handmade aesthetic, right? Like things things kind of look like miniature, and there's a lot of like there's a lot of textures, and versus Sackboy's Adventure, which was it was a little more all over the place. Like it looked a little more like a Mario or something. I don't know. I didn't play it, so I'm probably not the right person to make the analysis.
From what I saw, it looked pretty similar to the original aesthetic, but I could be wrong.
Okay, what if Little Big Planet 4 comes out and it has online multiplayer and Dreams still doesn't?
Yeah.
Well,
then I'll move over to LBP.
That would just be hilarious at this point.
It would be.
Wait, did the Sackboy game have? Did it have online co-op? Sackboy's Big Adventure.
You would kind of hope so. It had couch co-op.
I think it had local. Yeah, couch co-op. But so does Dreams.
This is true.
To be fair, even if LDP4, if it is a thing, and if it does come out, even if it does have multiplayer, it's still not as complicated of a situation as Dreams is.
Yeah, that's
true. Not nearly as complicated. It's still,
that's a good.
Dreams is a whole other beast.
Well, Ollie123 in the chat says there could be room for both.
Big Adventure.
There could be room for
Sackboy Big
both.
Adventure does have local and online multiplayer, allowing up to 4 players to experience the game together. There you go.
I kind of wanted to play that, but there's just a limit to how many, brand new expensive games I'm going to buy every year. It's usually like one.
It didn't seem like a $60 game to me, but from what I did see of people playing it, it looked fun. It looked like a really solid platformer.
It did. It looked really good. You Are Godsmacked says, I love LBP. My first experience with making games by yourself, and I also loved unlocking materials by playing. Falco Rich says, 4-legged character was probably the biggest addition for LBP. Whoa, so LBP got quadrupeds. We don't have quadrupeds yet.
I assume they're difficult to rig.
Yeah, we have totally normal quadrupeds.
Something that I find interesting as a difference between LBP and Dreams is that in LBP, prize bubbles were a big deal. And I feel like in Dreams, prize bubbles aren't really used as much in the community. And I think one of the reasons for that is, I might be wrong, but in Little Big Planet, I don't think you could just search the Dreamiverse. Like, there was no LBP verse that if you needed a chair, you could just search chair and it would show up. Like, you would have to collect the chair from somebody's asset collection that in a prize bubble. So you could search for furniture and hope that somebody made a furniture collection scene that had a lot of prize bubbles in that scene, and then you would just collect the prize bubbles that had chairs in them.
So there was
sounds needlessly complicated.
There was no creation of like elements.
There was no database.
Right? Like, so you couldn't. You could
make elements.
Oh, you could.
No, you can. You can make a thing. You can make a furniture piece, for example, but you would save it as a prize bubble.
Oh, so that was the way that you distributed anything that you want. Wow, that is a very different system from Dreams. It's interesting that you point that out, because I've always felt in Dreams that prize bubbles didn't have any meaning for me, because you can search
they're kind
the
of pointless
Dreamiverse,
because you can just search the Dreamiverse.
Yeah.
And
like,
I think that's why they're kind of they're not used so often.
Well, what are the advantages of what I was more excited about prize bubbles initially? I thought that you got prize bubbles to use stuff in your home space. Like, I thought and then I thought, well, if you publish your own prize bubble, someone could put something in their home space, and that's not the case. You can only put like the pre-made curated things into your home space. So the prize bubbles, what does the prize bubble actually accomplish in Dreams then?
I think it allows you to, I don't know. I think maybe it's like,
here we are, power users.
I was thinking the way that I had thought it worked is that it was it gives you kind of exclusive access to something that is unlisted. So, for example, like something that you wouldn't be able to search for, but you could now have access to because of the prize bubble.
I think that's
basically
correct.
It. Like, you could make an asset and save it as private, put it in a prize bubble in a dream, and if someone gets that prize bubble, they can use that they can use it now, even though it's saved as private.
Even if it's private.
No, because because.
But what if they try to publish something with that asset?
I don't think that. They'd still be able to.
I wonder.
I know this because for Trick or Treat Street, because they encourage people to put prize bubbles and all my stuff is private, I put some Vengeful Eyes assets on my Trick or Treat Street house, and people have been able to use that even though it's still saved as private. And I've seen it used in various little dreams that have been posted, so that's essentially how they work.
Entropy Tamed is confirming in the chat. You can have a private prize bubble, but then you can't publish as remixable. That's the only restriction.
Yeah, you can't publish as remixable.
That is a weird restriction. I mean, I kind of like that there's restrictions,
it makes sense,
but I guess it's weird. It's only weird because it's a scenario that doesn't exist elsewhere in Dreams. You can't. So I didn't even know this until like a few months ago. Someone pointed out to me that you can't release an element as non-remixable, as just playable. If you release an element, you release it as remixable, period. There's no such thing as an element that is not remixable. So anytime you search the Dreamiverse for someone else's thing and you put it in your dream, anytime you do that, you can publish your dream as remixable without a problem. But it sounds like
publish the dream itself, but yeah.
But it sounds like if you're using a private prize bubble, then you've got that hard limitation. So I mean, I guess I like that feels like it adds meaning to them because you're forcing someone to go get the prize bubble. That actually makes them a lot more appealing, knowing that, than they have been to me in the past. Because I didn't realize you could gate them in that way. I thought you would just have to make it unlisted, and we all know that making something unlisted is, it only hides it if no one catches it at first, and then you could still find it in a genealogy and.
Yeah, it could work like if you have if someone completes your game and gets to the very end, you can have a special prize for them, and only they can use those assets.
Ali says there's no prizes section in the stamp search anymore, though. That's interesting. Didn't there used to be a prizes filter?
There used to be.
I feel like
I thought there was one.
Actually.
Yeah. I have grabbed debug before, and I feel like I went specifically looking through prizes for him.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's completely removed.
Huh. Interesting.
Are you sure that maybe it's not just somewhere else?
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe you're right. No. It's my creations, my collaborations, recent creations you follow. Characters.
All right, everyone go look. Everyone go look.
Entropy says it's at the bottom now.
I see it at the very bottom. I just saw it.
Oh, it is there?
At the very bottom.
So you're going to search, and then what? Elements?
Yeah, you just go into search. You make sure you're at the one where you can see your creations or searching the entire Dreamverse, and you scroll to the very bottom.
Oh, so on the dream shaping page. There it is. The dream shaping page that I never go to,
weird.
But I should. There's a lot of good stuff in there now.
Far away.
Okay, so you can't filter in a search. So if you're in a scene, it seems like you can't filter and search your prizes. That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, you can't search by the prize category, but you could still search the individual prizes if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, they would probably come up, right? I wonder, what could you do with them to make them more appealing than they are now? What would it take to get you motivated to use a prize bubble in your game, or motivated to collect other people's prize bubbles?
I mean, that just depends on what is the prize bubble. Is it a song? Is it a huge collection of assets in one element? Like, what is it?
Yeah. So you could see someone releasing something and saying, you need to go get this in a prize bubble. And I don't know, like I think it would be interesting if I don't know if you can make a whole kit. I mean, you could definitely put separate elements in you could spread it across multiple prize bubbles. But the idea of creating something with prize bubbles that is a community creation, like I'm not explaining this well. The idea that you would have to go hunt prize bubbles to be involved in a community creation, I think is an interesting idea. That's not something so much on the MM side, but maybe a way that users could use them that could be interesting. Just, I don't know, just throwing it out there.
I think just having them as like a reward for completing something is interesting. Like, hey, you completed this game all the way. Here's a gift that only you can use because you did this thing.
Yeah.
Something that would be interesting to me is imagine if you could have a collection and you could lock parts of the collection as prize bubbles. So, like, rather than individual assets, like let's say you click on a collection and then it said this part of that collection is locked, you know, and then when you play the dream or whatever, then you collect the prize bubbles, it just unlocks this parts of the collection.
Isn't that literally what they do in the home space when you're going through that stuff? Don't they literally do that?
I don't know.
I think they do because they're like grayed out. You can't get them because you haven't found those prize bubbles yet. And once you find the prize bubbles, you can put them in.
So that functionality,
of course, it's only for the home space. That's
a
whole other thing. In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Eaches can't do that.
Can we put collections in prize bubbles? I've never tried. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I have a feeling that's a no.
Well, I got my PlayStation right here. I can certainly try.
I don't know. How do you feel about prize bubbles, Milo?
Initially, I liked the idea. Like, I thought that it was a good way if it's like sort of the exclusivity of a prize being, oh, it's an item I went out of my way to look for. Now I have and I can use, and there's not really another way of using it. Like the whole unremixable thing, where it's a special item. If you put in the effort to.
You cannot put collections or dreams in a prize bubble.
Only elements.
Didn't Media Molecule recently change it so that their prize stuff is remixable?
Yeah.
I remember that was a problem at one point. I think that Media Molecule assets, whenever you would use something that was collected as a prize, you could no longer release your dream as public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like art, whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, art's dream assets. Yeah, I think that was the one. I like what Entropy said. He said, I'd like prizes to be more like trophies, something you can collect and display on your profile. I think that would be cool. We definitely need something more solid for home spaces and profiles. So something like prizes or trophies could be cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Also, the ability to fully customize the home space would be nice.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Feels so limited compared to the entire rest of Dreams. It's like super limited in comparison.
Although, I'm still like, I'm sure that home spaces are something that they have talked about a lot at MM, and I think I think the community in general feels like it's a feature that doesn't really, it's not that enticing, right? Like you can go just make an element or a scene and create with 0 limitations, or you can go to the home space and create with a bunch of limitations in one space that you can't, you can't like save and publish. You can't, it exists there. No one looks at it.
Right.
Can't even create anything in it.
But I think the limitation of the assets that are that you can use might be a nice advantage if they do things like linking home spaces together, where you can, hop from, one person's to another person. So you could put a portal to your friend's home space and just go instantly between them. You wouldn't have any load. Like if someone put a bunch of audio in their home space, you're going to have to sit and wait for a load. Like, I'm just thinking that's at least one advantage of the limitation. Like if you've got everything that could possibly be in that home space already on your disk or already on your, your hard drive.
Yeah, that would be a great thing to launch with multiplayer. Being able to go to others' home space like while they're there, so that I don't know, maybe there's like even like a hub world for dreamers.
Yeah, I think if multiplayer is becomes a thing with home spaces, that could definitely make it more of a hangout kind of thing.
Yeah.
I am so excited about just the idea of any like social space in dreams. I think the idea of putting that in the home space is really interesting. If you could then, if you could travel like between home spaces, but then also you're in a home space with your friend and you're like, oh, hey, let's go to this dream over here, and then go to play the dream together, and it would just take you together. That's asking a lot. But I don't know.
I only played it for 5 minutes, and I don't know about that latter part, but Core had. Sorry for bringing that up. Core seemed to have something that maybe could eventually be like that.
We censor that. Did you say game?
I'm just saying it might be a possibility.
Game Garage beep. Core beep. Sorry.
Acer pulled me in the wrong direction, but I don't touch it anymore. So
Unity beep.
Unreal.
I think it's kind
Matrix demo.
funny how quickly Core kind of disintegrated. I mean, it still exists, but the player base is very, very small.
I haven't heard anyone talk about it in months.
No.
No,
I haven't thought about it in long.
I know people like to
Dreams
say,
is dead.
yeah, I know.
Core is definitely dead.
Core is deader than dead. And it's funny because everyone thought it was going to be the opposite, because they're like, well, Core has all these things that Dreams doesn't have as far as monetization and stuff, and that's what Dreams needs and blah, 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 blah. But then...
And it's on PC.
Yeah, and it's on PC.
Yeah.
And yet, with all that going for it, it's still... So it'd be interesting to see why...
Super limited.
If you want all your games to look like Fortnite, then it seemed like a good place to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it did seem interesting. It just also felt like I love spending time in Dreams, and I didn't see myself enjoying creating in that environment, even a fraction of how much I enjoy creating in Dreams. So I didn't try it.
It's almost like when I was talking to Acer about it, he mentioned how it's like Project Spark, but with monetization and slightly better, and it still failed. Granted, Project Spark also failed, so I guess it was just doomed from the start then.
I mean, I guess that's Go ahead.
So considering the history that these kinds of programs have, Dreams has actually done pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you know what's wonderful to know, even though there's things we want Dreams to do that it doesn't do yet, it's wonderful to know
Multiplayer.
that Sony's got their back. That Sony, they've been consistently bringing new people on board into the studio, creating new positions, expanding. So it's really nice to know when you're investing so much time and emotional energy into this ecosystem, this Dreamiverse. It's good to know that it's not going to just go up and they're not going to just pluck it, a year from now because it's not doing whatever numbers, that they want it to do. That's a good feeling. Falco Rich
also brought up a good point about Roblox.
Sorry? Go ahead.
I was going to say MC Alchemist made a good point about the Roblox. It exists. That also probably led to Core not doing so well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But Core... Now, Roblox, my understanding is you have to code to create in Roblox. Like, there's no way around it, right? It's much more like traditional.
Is Roblox is Roblox more flexible than Core?
I don't know. I feel
might
like
be
it's
more
less
open-ended.
flexible.
It seemed like Core took the words. It seemed like Core took the approach of having a little more limitations on what you can do, but having them be more focused. Like every time I saw someone playing Core, it was always like a third person Fortnite type game. It looked like you had taken like one kit and just tweaked the rules of the game a little bit. You know, so maybe you had King of the Hill and you also had a Slayer mode, or, you know, you could do these different things, but it all felt a little bit samey whenever I saw it.
That's one of the reasons Project Spark basically died, is because everything in Project Spark looked like Project Spark. There wasn't really any diversity, so...
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone had the same assets to work with.
Oh, yeah. So
Core is basically...
Did you buy asset packs? Is that how they...
Yeah, they sold asset packs on the store for people to buy, and that's essentially how they, tried to keep the game running, and it did not last.
Yeah, and they bailed fast.
It survived for a few years before it finally died.
Was it a few years? I always had the impression it was like a year and a half and just rule the X.
It seemed like a few years, but it definitely did not last. And Core is essentially if Project Spark and Roblox had a not-so-good baby. Not the two don't blend very well.
Yeah. I feel like multiplayer is really, I mean, when there's multiplayer in Dreams, I feel like it has a chance of tapping into those Roblox players.
Crowd.
Yeah. As those,
I think so too.
up.
I think multiplayer could be a big deal. Because, I mean, when people start making their own multiplayer stuff, we're going to see a lot of shenanigans. A lot of crazy stuff.
I'm as time goes on, I'm more enthused about the opportunity to create social spaces in Dreams. Like Dreams Central, that project, if there was multiplayer in Dreams right now, I would be really, really into a concept like that. And other people have made like Ice Cream Gamer has been working on a social space for a long time that, you know, he's excited just to create this just to create an environment for people to hang out in. And I feel like because you can do anything you could think of in Dreams, including VR, which I hope is tied in with multiplayer. I hope it's all still just one, you know, it all works together in that way.
Can help.
Yeah. Yeah. Notre Dame is here for the shenanigans. Jet Yeti says it was it was a little under 2 years before Project Spark was shut down.
Okay.
According to Jet Yeti.
Dream Central's pretty risky. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Dream Central, like, we have no idea about anything involving multiplayer yet. Like, it could be like two-player multiplayer for all we know. So there wasn't even a guarantee that Dream Central would even fundamentally work, because you need a fair amount of people to make that make it really work.
I don't know.
And it could be 2 players, it could be 4 players, it could be 8.
Yeah,
we have no idea yet.
It is a very optimistic project, yeah.
We also don't even know how we're going to be implementing multiplayer. How much of it are we going to have to do? How much of it is done for us? Like, we don't know nothing yet.
There are a lot of question marks. I've thought about, you know, tinkering with any number of game ideas for before multiplayer comes out. And every time I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to... Like you said, it is a total question mark. All we know is there's going to be online multiplayer of some sort in the future.
Yeah.
That is all that we know. Is that...
We know.
Sorry. Is that what Aevox just did?
I think so.
That's good. That's good. That's resourceful. Oh, no. I was going to say, because if Aevox left, my stream falls apart. There it is.
Oh, it did.
Milo exists in two places at once. That's funny. We're just going to ride it out for the moment. Aevox will probably come right back. Wow, you are Professor Miloarty and Aevox23 at the same time.
If I can
Yeah, there's
even,
just so many questions
Sorry
we
about
just
that.
don't know yet.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Did the screen fix
Intratac
itself?
out. Oh, no problem. Intratac out is said, I wonder if Dreams multiplayer will have in-progress joins for games. Would be an interesting thing to design around. I mean, another question mark. They're really kind of endless. And yeah, we don't know how many players, whether you're going to have in-progress joins, whether you'll have voice chat. I really hope there's voice chat. I know.
That's another one.
Yeah. I
You say that.
really hope there's voice chat. Because otherwise, my excitement about social spaces in Dreams goes down a lot.
Also, Andy, I don't think it is a bad sign. If anything, I think it's a good sign.
Andy says, MM is still hiring a lot of networking programmer positions. I hope that's not a bad sign for multiplayer. Yeah, I mean, we're just
The
guessing.
fact they're still hiring people is a good sign. I assume.
They could also be hiring for the longevity, like for maintenance of the online platform they're already working on, not necessarily to start.
I was excited when I saw a position for multiplayer environment designer. That one popped up. I mean, it was a few months ago, I think. But in my mind, if they are already hiring someone to design multiplayer environments, it means, number one, they're probably close to, if not already have, some form of multiplayer working. Maybe that might be a leap, but it also means they are designing content, and they're going to design enough multiplayer content that they feel they need a full-time environment designer. I think that's a really interesting tidbit.
What is a multiplayer environment designer?
I mean, if it's Halo or something, I would say that's the person who's designing the maps you're playing on.
The map design.
But see, does environment mean environment, or does it mean like online environment, as in like UI and stuff?
I'm pretty sure that in the job description, I don't know if this one is still up there or not, but I'm pretty sure I read the job description and it was about designing the virtual space as opposed to the online environment in a more general sense. But I'm going to go to Media Molecule's site right now and see if that posting is still up there.
22 jobs available.
22. Wow. I mean, they take their time hiring people, but I mean, these positions have been filling up. I would love to know how many people are working at MM right now versus, say, when
versus
the
how many they're trying
launched.
To hire.
that too.
I mean, I'd like to think
that
that
big of a team. They have to be less than 50, I think.
I'd like to think Media Molecule is picky about who they bring aboard.
Yeah, so. Definitely.
I hope so, because I've applied there and they didn't get back to me. Either they're picky or I just
Keld,
suck.
you're too nice. You're too nice.
I'm looking at their page now, and I don't see. I don't see that position anymore. So it seems like they might have filled that job.
I hope so.
Okay. Lena's back. How's it going, Lena? I don't have a cat camera up, so I have to make everyone else go away so we can focus on Lena for a moment. You don't mind. You don't mind, do you?
This can just be the stream.
Yeah, everyone be quiet. I'm petting Lena. Be quiet. Stop talking. Oh, Lena pops up in the chat.
Lena B.O. and says enter chat.
You all go
timing.
Entropy says lots of companies have positions up until after someone is in the role a few weeks. That is true. That is true.
That's a good point.
Earlier, Falco Rich had said that LBP worked that way, where you could go into someone's pod. I think what he meant is you could go into someone's pod and then go to a game together, like follow each other like into the same game. Is that like you would launch games from the pod? Is that how that worked? Do you know Aevox?
You're an expert, Aevox.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Can you? So in LBP, you could hang out in people's pods. Like you could go to a pod was like a home space. Is that kind of it?
From what I remember, the pods weren't like there wasn't a lot you could change in your pod. Your pod was just kind of like your menu basically. There's a big controller, like a PlayStation controller. I think maybe you could stamp stickers in there, but you couldn't create in your home space or anything, as far as I remember. Unless it was different in LBP3, but in the earlier LBP games, all you would do is you could just hop around and maybe stamp stickers.
But you could be in your home space with another player who was remote, who was
so
not on the couch.
It'd be like, I think where you had like parties in Little Big Planet, essentially. You would have a group of up to like 4, people, and then your group would be in your home space, and then it could be with people online or whatever, strangers. You have like a party, and then you all enter a dream together, or not dream, but what they call them, LBP. I forget what they do call them, levels?
Planets.
Planets. I'm so used to calling them dreams now, or scenes.
Yeah.
I forget that LBP didn't used to have those terminologies. I forget what they called them.
Did anyone else? I mean, now we know what dreams and scenes are, but when the beta launched and I made my very first Dreamiverse Dash remix, did anyone else have this experience where you published your scene and then you waited around for people to like it? And I mean, not literally. I didn't sit there and literally. Well, maybe, I don't know. But you published a scene, and then I didn't realize like what a dream was. I just thought, I published my scene. Everyone can play my thing now. And I just watched nobody play it and got so disheartened for a day or two.
I had the opposite thing where I when I first got into create mode, I pressed create dream because I was like, all right, here we go. This is where we're going to create. And then I get this weird screen that wants me to search for scenes and stamp them, whatever that means. And so, you have the create dream, because I was like, well, I just want to create a dream. And I didn't realize that a dream is like a collection of scenes, and that scenes are what you actually created. I didn't understand that. So I was just trying to create a dream from scratch, but you can't do that until you have some scenes. Don't know if anyone else had that bit of confusion when they first started.
Yeah, the scene dream element thing is a pretty. I think it's a very elegant system, but yeah, at least with the tutorials that were there in the beta, it was confusing. I don't know if that was explained in tutorials, or I think my problem is I knew I wanted to dive into dreams head first. And so I just consumed like every tutorial on day one for a few hours. And then by the time I actually went to use Paint, I had forgotten completely anything that I did in the tutorial, just completely gone.
I watched so many YouTube videos of dreams, so I was already pretty familiar with a lot of stuff and how to do things. I watched so many tutorials.
What was the first thing you sat down to make?
First thing I sat down to make, I have no idea.
Do you remember the first thing you published?
First thing I published was the Vengefly's announcement trailer for Dreamscom, I think. That was the first thing I published. First thing I made, I don't know, maybe the logo for Evolution? That had to be the first thing.
I remember the first thing I tried to make. So I had previous. So I told you I had some experience with Little Big Planet, and I also had a little bit of game design experience using Game Maker. I don't know if people have used that. Nowadays they call it Game Maker Studio. Before it was just called Game Maker, and you could pay $20 and have the entire thing. Nowadays they've got like 100 different licenses you can use.
Oh, they part it out.
Yeah, which is both a good and bad thing, because it's more multi-platform now. It used to be PC only. But what I was gonna say is, so I went into Dreams thinking, oh yeah, I got this. This is gonna be easy. It's nothing crazy, nothing too bad. Well, I tried to make a zombie defense game. That was my first attempt at a game. And my main, I think the thing that got me the most was I could not align things the way that I wanted to. I was struggling with the camera, and I didn't think that I could handle the motion controls, so I was using the analog. style control, which I think is actually harder to use.
It
But
seems
yeah, I was
slow,
trying to use the
too.
analog controls. Yeah, I was trying to line everything up, and I was just getting so frustrated. I didn't even get as far as trying to implement the logic because I couldn't even get the level design the way that I wanted it to. And I started looking up like, okay, well, how do I do grid movement? And I think I looked up a video on YouTube, and it just looked so complicated. I was like, it can't be this hard. And yeah, so that was my first project that I tried, and I quickly abandoned that idea. But it's funny because I for one of the 1 hour challenges, I actually did make a tower defense game. So that shows you how from spending on an entire day and failing to making a semi-working defense game in less than an hour. It's funny how far you can go in about a year.
It's been a while. It's been too long since a DreamX challenge, Aevox. I forgot how many games you used to pump out during those 60-minute challenges.
Yeah, those were fun.
Boy, I've been getting nostalgic for them lately. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think I got bored doing it every week. So maybe it'll have to be every now and again. Like, hey, we're gonna have a DreamX challenge today. It's a special day. All right, we're back from a short break.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. And
About said he'd be right back.
oh, cool. So I wanted to ask you lovely dreamers, what you're working on right now. Oh, Aevox really disappeared again. Oh, no. All right. Milo, you're doing double duty.
I got.
Now, can you answer as Aevox, Milo, and tell us, what are you working on currently?
Give me 1 second. Gotta.
I must be
plug
really
this
hard. I
charger.
must be really far behind stream. It still says you'll be right back.
Oh, Aevox is here, just no video.
Oh, there we go.
Is that right?
Yeah, no video.
He's also muted. He said he'd be back.
Okay, Alpha, why don't you tell us what you're working on in Dreams right now? What you been up to?
Well, like a day or two ago, Mr. Fu helped me make the Vengeflies 2 VR compatible.
What? Oh, Mr. Fu, you filthy two-namer. I like you, Mr. Fu, but I forgot. I saw that you had thanked someone for making your game VR compatible, and I remember seeing the name and going, oh, I don't know that person.
That was Mr. Fu, and besides that, I am currently working on Evolution, the show that I meant to release last year, and I did not because of real life stuff in my brain. Which I will gladly get into if you want to.
Tell me about
Also,
it.
Aevox, it says you're muted.
Is that
Which part?
is that what you're spending most of your dreams time on right now? Is the show?
It's gonna be what I'm spending most of my dreams time on for the rest of this year. Yes.
So
You
are
guys
you?
hear me okay?
I'm in the
Yes.
yes, we can hear you, Aevox. I'm in
Cool.
the process of working on the script for season 1.
So
Plan for that to be finished either this month or next month, whenever it's done.
how much content is in your season? How long is season 1?
Season 1 is going to be 8 episodes, released on a weekly basis in November, starting in November.
Oh wow! So you pushed it back a year. Like
My
you were
original
planning
plan
to
was for-
release in
My
November last
original
year.
plan, yeah, that was my plan, but because my life got completely crazy and it just changed completely in like when I moved out from my family, it took me a lot longer to get back into the headspace where I was ready to start creating stuff. I just smacked the crap out of my headset. It took me a while to get back into like the groove of creating things, so I wasn't actually able to release the show when I wanted to because I haven't worked on it.
So you're writing 8 episodes of content, and you're going to produce all of them and then release them on a weekly basis. That is ambitious, and that's I don't think I've heard of anyone else creating something episodic like that and and releasing in that way. That's pretty interesting. Do you plan to Do you think you'll be spending your whole year on that? And are there any other projects you think you'll be making time for?
I have made a schedule and already planned everything that I'm going to be working on so that by the time we get to November, I already have the episodes ready to go and I can just release them on a weekly basis.
Very cool. Very cool. And
having a whole year to work on it gives me plenty of time to account for everything because I learned a lot with Benchwise 2, and most importantly, how quickly you can put a scene together and how quickly you can make something when you have all the assets.
Like
I honestly feel like the longest part. Yeah, that too. But also, even when you don't have plans, you can still make stuff happen. And I feel like the longest part is honestly just going to be making the various characters and assets and the animation, and the rest is going to fly by. I'm accounting for if that doesn't happen as well.
Wow. Well, I'll be looking forward to that.
At least you have a schedule. Oh. I think that's more than most of us.
I had a schedule for last year, but I just was not able to work with it at all. And planning for the show to be an annual thing where in November, Evolution's going to be there every November. That's my plan.
I feel like a lot of us...
I want it to be a yearly thing.
I feel like a lot of us had this experience coming into Dreams where we're presented with this creative environment where we can make things with very few limitations, and our eyes get bigger than our stomach, so to speak. I know for early in the stream, early on in streaming Dreams for me, I was giving out the advice a lot to people who were starting projects and getting frustrated. I was saying, make a platformer. Right? Don't make your epic action adventure RPG with whatever.
Don't make a zombie defense game as your first game.
Yeah, don't make a zombie defense game unless you're Acer. He almost got away with it. He almost pulled it off.
Almost.
But yeah,
versions later.
Don't do a big epic project for your first thing. Just make a platformer. You make a platformer, and yeah, maybe it's not the sexiest genre to you, but you can learn how to put together, you can learn how to make a game start and finish, and like basic things like that in the context of not having to work out really difficult gameplay mechanics. I mean, like all that
You'd
stuff.
Be surprised how many people jump into game development saying like, oh, I'm going to make like this AAA Pokemon action RPG with living ecosystem. And it's just like they have this ideal game in their head that they don't realize how many million interlocking systems that they're gonna have to create to make that a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even start off with the show initially. The first thing I did was Benchwise, which admittedly is a pretty simple game that I still screwed up. In the beginning, it just wasn't playable.
Now,
There's just no game.
Did you come into Dreams Alpha with these concepts in mind? Like, are these ideas that you were carrying with you or working on before you?
I have wanted to make this show for the last 7 years.
Hmm.
And that'll be 8 years in February.
Before Dreams, so did you know about Dreams that whole time, or were you wanting to create it somewhere else?
I learned about Dream. For these past 7 years, I've been trying to find a way to make this show happen. And I went through so many different methods. I was even going to go as far as to maybe try Project Spark, because that was like the only option I had, because I didn't have a computer. And through that, I went to Lady Lex's website, and she had mentioned that she has moved on from Project Spark and moved on to Dreams. And that's how I rediscovered Dreams, because I actually saw Dreams beforehand. And the first thing I ever saw of Dreams was that creation of this dude with the afro and the rainbow underwear.
Is that
was the first thing I ever saw of Dreams? Probably.
Did you know? I hope you don't, because it's always fun to tell people. Did you know that Purple Pants Dance was made by Mark Healy?
Did not know that.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was.
Amazing. But yeah, when I saw like Rabbit and Boy, I saw that and I'm like, yeah, I can absolutely make the show I want to make in this thing. I immediately knew just based on that trailer, not even the full movie, just the trailer alone. I'm like, oh yeah, I can absolutely do this.
Yeah, that was a nice one. That was definitely sort of a landmark for me too, in looking at Dreams and going, oh, you can do this. Like you can pull off some animation if you got the talent.
And the funny thing is that there's only one reason I was even able to get a PlayStation 4 and Dreams in the first place, and that's the pandemic and the stimulus checks.
Nice.
Because otherwise I just didn't have the money to get the PlayStation 4. I literally bought a PlayStation 4 just to get Dreams. That's the only reason.
Let's have a round of applause for COVID. Everyone, look, COVID takes a lot of shit, okay? But we don't talk about the good things. COVID got InsaneAlphaBeta a PlayStation.
It did.
How about it?
Good point.
Someone in chat, I'm not going to say who, but someone in chat said, and Mark Healy is? And that would be worth explaining. Not being so insane. Not everyone knows who. One of the co-founders of Media Molecule is Mark Healy, the one that looks like Norman Reedus, like just a slightly older, just slightly older Norman Reedus. That's yeah. Kataya says that was me, Keld. I don't know what he's talking about.
To kind of finish what you were asking, the show Evolution, I absolutely knew I was making that from the very beginning. Vengewise is a bit of a different story. I wasn't going to make Vengewise because I don't really like horror games.
Really?
So how'd you get roped into that one?
Yeah.
Well, Project Genesis, who doesn't do anything Dreams related anymore, hosted a horror themed gym, and I'm like, oh, that's neat because I've watched his channel, and I wasn't going to participate. And then the prize pool became $100, and I said, I think I can make a horror game.
I like $100.
So, I like $100. I think I'll make a horror game, and then I decided I'm going to make a horror game.
It's funny you brought that up because my one and only horror game that I started was also for the same reason.
What?
Well,
you did it for the jam?
For that jam, yeah. It's funny. I actually did want to make a horror game though, even before that, but that was a nice incentive. It was like, if it happens, that would be cool. I didn't really finish enough of it to where I think it had any chance of winning, but it was still fun to do. And that's actually one of the projects that I'm working on right now is kind of a revision of my game. It's called Paranoia. It's getting an updated. A lot of it's getting updated, so it's not just a part 2 coming out. The actual everything that's in there right now is subject to change, but there's going to be a revised storyline, and there will be a part 2, but part 1 will be different. So
now that's the one where you start outside, and you go into like a cave, or is it?
It's a mine shaft.
Mine shaft. Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember playing that in various stages of development, and and finding it interesting to watch something progress as I came back to it a couple more times. That's interesting. That's neat that you're still polishing that one. Sometimes
I was meant to come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now it's more of it's in the script stage, so it's just in writing, but for me, the actual execution it isn't going to be as hard. Like I think I've learned a lot that actually implementing the changes won't be that difficult. But I've learned that planning out horror games, it's actually very difficult because you want to try not to be. You don't want to be cliche, right? You don't want to do something that's been done 100 times before, but you don't want to be too strange either. Like there's certain things that people expect in the horror genre, and if you don't use some amount of things that people expect, then people are going to be bored or they're going to not get it. So I don't know. There's just a lot of you have to understand the language of horror, while at the same time not going into the cliches too much. And so I spent a lot of time just listening to. I like to do research on things. I listen to videos and horror filmmakers and things like that. Just good writing in general. I like to listen to a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. And I spend more time doing that than actually writing. But yeah, it's kind of a fun pastime. But also, I think that with horror, the funny thing is that it's not so much about the writing as it is about the execution. I feel like you could have a bad, like, or not bad, but like a so-so premise, but it could be really, really good if your execution's great. And you could have a really good premise that just sucks depending on the execution. So
yeah, I agree completely. I haven't played a lot of horror games. It's honestly, I've probably played more horror. I played Resident Evil 7 in VR, and that was like the first non-Dreams horror game I actually ever played. And other than that, I've just played a lot of people's Dream stuff, and I definitely agree. It's the moments that really get you, that really fill you with dread, or the catch you off guard and actually give you a good scare. They're not really story dependent. Like, it feels like it's its own art form, just carrying the carrying the momentum of the experience in the right way, so that something hits the way you want it to.
What's really fascinating to me when I was making Vengeflies 2 is the fact that people, sometimes you don't have to scare people; they'll just scare themselves.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's the kind of restraint that makes a better experience. Understanding that
exactly, like in the basement, like people were so afraid that something was going to get them, and nothing happens to them. But they were just like, "Oh, I don't want to go in there." I'm like, nothing's going to happen, and they just scare themselves. Or the one time when you finally encounter Isaac the first time in the supply closet, everyone's like, he could show up at any time, because they don't know yet what can happen, what will happen, and that fear of the unknown is what gets them.
I thought you paced
don't
it
have
really
to do
well.
anything.
I thought you paced it really nicely. Like there was a lot of tension, and you didn't need to have a bunch of jump scares or a bunch of crazy things happening, like to build it. Like you did a good job of building the tension with the with the environment and the storytelling, and it was I believe I'm quoting InsaneAlphaBeta in the chat, who said The Vengeflies 2 is infinitely better. I would agree with that. I mean, maybe mathematically, maybe infinite is a tough sell mathematically, but
The person who made it, I was
not shy. I was not shy about my feelings when I played The Vengeflies 1. It was kind of brutal, and I don't think I ever finished it.
It was full horror. Oh, you never finished it.
I felt like the gameplay itself was horror at points. No, I really appreciate
it.
I feel like after I played it, I think you took some of my feedback to heart in your later changes, and you were like, "Hey, give it another try." And then I came back, and you're like, and the rounds went from 6 minutes to 9 minutes, and I was like, "Whoa! What did you?" You made it
now that Falkridge mentioned
more. You want more?
Hey, InsaneAlphaBeta, don't take this the wrong way, but your voice does sound a little suspiciously like Acert sometimes.
You do sound a little similar.
Interesting. I never noticed that.
That's a good point.
I want to ask Professor Miloarty, if there is any project that... Well, actually, can you just tell me how you came to Dreams? And then I'm also curious if there's any project you dream about that I don't know, keeps you motivated.
Yeah, sure. So I first heard of Dreams at, I guess, a random E3. I don't know if it was the announcement or a follow-up to that. It might have been the announcement, because I was plugged into the Sony E3 conference a lot. But I paid it no mind for a long time, up until just before launch. I was a Kind of Funny fan. Kind of Funny Games with Greg Miller. Yeah. They had Abby Happy on talking about Dreams, and I was like, oh, I know Abby Happy from back in the day, and what they played of Dreams, I also seemed interesting. So it felt like it felt like sort of an access point. Like I know people who work on the game, and I know that the game's dreams that are made seem interesting enough.
What did you know
and the whole
Abby from?
creation aspect. Wasn't she on? I just know she was familiar, but I feel like she was on G4 before. But I could be wrong. That or some other like news outlet or something.
I
Gaming
know
news
she
outlet,
did.
something.
I know she did. I think it was community management for Respawn. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel
Respawn
like
does Titanfall, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Respawn.
I feel like today's show is a lot of me just wildly speculating and not knowing things. But but go on, Milo.
Yeah, she used to be G4. Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I think briefly. I don't know briefly.
I didn't know that.
But yeah. What else? But yeah, so that's the interview / stream that Kind of Funny did with them. Piqued my interest, and then on
and also I'm sorry, but also you heard. I wasn't going to mention this, but then I decided. I think Abby name dropped me on that show.
Oh, yeah,
which made me really happy. But I mean, that was what pushed you over the edge, correct?
Yes, Keld B. Jones.
Yes,
pushed me over the edge.
She did not say that.
No. I did legit think that you were brothers with Mr. Casey Jones, to be honest.
a common mistake.
Just because because I thought you had a common last name in common. Like, oh, same last name, they must be related. But not at all, not even close.
No middle initial for Casey. We'll have to ask what Casey's middle initial is sometimes. I don't. Yeah,
Mr. Casey Jones. I don't know. Yeah, Y Jones.
The Casey is his middle name.
The Mr.'s the first. Good point.
Maybe it's Mr. Casey Jones.
First name Mr.
It's been Mr. Casey Jones.
Last name Jones.
And then he says, "Casey is my middle name." So
yeah, I guess randomly got into Dreams and decided to purchase it immediately after watching a few of interviews. Recent to launch interviews. And the first thing I made in Dreams was unsuccessfully a Stargate. I think that also was another part of it, the whole creation aspect. And I was rewatching Stargate, and I was like, "Oh, I can make a Stargate," and I sort of did. It doesn't quite work. So like Stargate from the show sort of goes back and forth every now and then to dial an address to go out to another planet. I got it working one revolution, but I wanted to figure out how to go the other way, which I didn't back in the day because this was like my first week.
Were you using like a rotator or something?
I was using some combination of a rotator and transmitter and receivers to figure out, like, once one rotation was done, I wanted to ping and then rotate the other way, all through just logic, no keyframing. I'm not even sure if I knew what keyframes were. I just wanted it to be like purely math based, and I think I got the basics down, except for the ability to go back and forth at will. I haven't revisited.
That's surprising. I mean, like, it sounds so simple, but as you're describing it, I'm flashing back to knowing nothing, to not knowing that number one, keyframes are everything, and and number two, something like I want this rotator to go backwards. Oh, but make the number negative. Like, that's something that basic was so out of my grasp.
You should find out. Try finding out that timelines work for more than just music and sound effects.
Yes.
Because here I was when I think actually in Paranoia is one of them that I would need to go back and redo this, but there was like a whole cutscene part that I had to do, and I remember I used timers to try and get everything aligned.
Yes.
And I had when this timer ends, triggers this one, and then when that timer ends, it triggers these other rows. So I had these rows of timers just trying to trigger all these events in sequence. Because I didn't know that you could just put it all on one timeline and it would just work out. Oh god.
I too remember hacking together a timeline with a series of timers. It's so ridiculous, but I mean, honestly, if you're new to Dream's logic and you haven't figured this out yet, the first thing you should try and do, if you have anything you want to accomplish, try and get it done with a keyframe first, and a timeline. Like a timeline and a keyframe will get you so far. And once you've got those down, selectors, timelines, and keyframes are like, that'll get you half of what you need to do, if not more.
Yeah, those are now always in my logic. They're usually the core. Those three now. So.
Early day logic problems remind me of. Oh wait,
sorry. I'm sorry. Pixel Gorilla just came in the chat.
Always
and said,
use
selectors.
Boo
Never
selectors.
use selectors.
I actually exclusively use selectors and nodes in particular. I know how much Gorilla loves nodes, and I love nodes, especially for the input. Just so they can stick it.
Nodes
into
are really nice for just organizing things neatly, and like having the right labels on things, labeling all your nodes, color coding them. Oof.
Yeah.
It's
I
cathartic.
end up
It's very
using them a lot to,
aesthetically
like,
pleasing,
using
but it's
them
not
like
efficient.
things to like shut off functions, and I don't know if that's wasteful. If there are better ways of doing it, but
Oh,
And I
nodes
was
are great for
working on-
reducing wire clutter as well.
Yeah,
well,
I don't even know if I've used any nodes.
no, I'm gonna need a
Speaking
few
of a logic
paragraphs.
trouble,
I'm gonna
when
need
I was making, it was only like near the end of making Vengeflies 2 that I realized how good not signal manipulators, wireless transmitters were, and I'm like, I could have saved myself an infinite amount of trouble, because when I made the first Vengeflies, I had it so, if you run and you're by him, he'll kill you, and so what happens is when you run, it turns on a zone. And so there's like an isolith for every single room in the mall, and multiple of them for different rooms depending on which direction he chooses to go. So I had to wire up every single isolith and all 3 zones that are on him for each one into the thing, when all I had to do after that, I only realized at the end of the second game, was just use the wireless transmitter, and I could just make it infinitely easier to log out. I had so much pain.
Yeah.
And if I just knew about this one thing that I just didn't even think about using, it would have saved me hours of hooking up wires one at a time.
Yeah, if you don't mind the frame delay, those transmitters and receivers can be really useful.
Yeah, it is worth noting
for
when you're getting into detailed stuff, when you're doing some really detailed logic, that there is a delay of 1 frame before that information gets across the wireless transmitter. Whereas if you have wires, there's zero frames of delay.
What you're doing is essentially turning on things that don't require it to be instantaneous, then you're totally good to go. It would have saved me so many hours of trouble.
Pixel Gorilla says wireless transmitters also suck. Kataya called it.
Is Pixel like anything?
Music. Music. I don't know why. Pixel Gorilla hates everything. He hates everything, but he loves all music. It's that's my favorite Pixel Gorilla fun fact. And I think it's especially funny because music is a thing that people get really tribal about. Like, this is my music. Like, this other music sucks. But
I can see that.
But yeah, not Pixel Gorilla. Well, Pixel Gorilla says
So
variables.
you want to confirm or deny?
Variables are a direct wire is best. Variables are really powerful, and I feel like I'm still like just scraping the surface of understanding how useful they are. Variables are great because you can wirelessly transmit that information without a frame delay. That's one thing that's really nice about them. If you, instead of using a wireless transmitter, if you're just sending like an on-off signal, you could just have a variable that switches from 0 to 1 instead of a wireless transmitter, and you don't have that delay. I mean, that delay is 1 frame of logic, which turns out, if you're running at 60 FPS, is 2 frames of visual, and depending on what you're doing, it can be significant.
It just solely depends on the use case, what you're using it for.
Danny Kaka says, why don't they just make wireless transmitters with wires? Great
Good
question.
point.
So there's some good times. Like there are some valid reasons to use wireless transmitters, and one of the reasons is that you can assign them to zones. And I'll give you one example of a use case where I used wireless transmitters instead of variables. For one of the unexciting asset jams, I made an elevator that is modular, so it can work with any number of floors. And the way it detects its floors above and below is with a wireless receiver that let me see how I don't remember exactly how I rigged it up, but basically there was a zone that checks above and below the elevator for floors, and it checks above itself and checks below itself, but doesn't check, in any other direction. And then so you can have any number of elevators with any number of floors without any additional variables. If you're going to do it with variables, you would have to have a different variable for each elevator or for each that would change for each floor. But using the transmitters, each one is basically localized, and you can have any number of elevators with any number of floors.
So each floor that you would clone out had its own transmitter or receiver?
So what it would do, I think it would see how many floors it had below it or above it, and then it would be able to tell you what floor it was currently on.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That elevator was a neat rig. That was fun to play with. Yeah, Kataya said, I don't understand why there should be a frame delay. It sucks. I just want an invisible wire is all. I agree. I really wonder why there needs to be a frame delay. I'm sure it probably has to do with the other functions. I mean, maybe it has to do with zone detection, right? Trigger zones, I think, give you... Actually, trigger zones don't have a delay of frame, do they? I don't think they do. Does anyone know?
I'm not gonna lie, I completely blanked on the question.
I think. Well, yeah, we're going. I'm going. Yeah, I'm getting off the path. But yeah, wireless transmitters. It'd be nice if there was no delay. There's no delay for keyframes, says Og. But well, let me ask Professor Miloarty again. Is there anything you're working on right now, or anything you're dreaming about for the future that that you want to make happen in dreams?
Yeah. So I actually dropped the professor long ago because I am not a professor. I don't. Yeah. I just thought it sounded better, but I dropped it because I felt like a fake.
Are you a master? A master, Miloarty?
Yeah. I quit after getting my master's, so I just.
Now, is that a reference to Professor Moriarty? I have to ask.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's why I had it, Professor Miloarty. And I said, hey, if I get a PhD, then that'll be perfect. But then I just felt like an imposter.
We've all been there. We've all been there,
Yeah.
trying to take credit for our PhD before we actually accomplished it.
Just in case, just in case. I have, as for projects, I mostly fudge around with logic and basic sculpting or no, not painting, sculpting. I do have like a larger project in mind that I'm working toward that requires, I think, for me, some background knowledge as to some of the subject matter that I want to be like my master project that I like release when we all have gray beards. And I mean, all of us, men, women, children, when
the entire world is covered in gray beards.
yes. When
as the prophecy foretells.
Yeah, so that is, I have created some basic assets for that, and I'm working on some background logic. I think the current idea of it is sort of, I think one of the key systems I want in it is sort of a base building system.
Ooh.
And I do want
that sounds tough.
It does. That's why it's off beyond over the horizon. One of the games that propelled me to want to create this was actually Ni no Kuni 2 in particular. There was like a base building aspect to it that I absolutely loved. more than the actual RPG aspect of it. And I liked the Ghibli aesthetic to it. And the subject matter that I'm approaching, I guess, could be Ghibli-esque in terms of I want it to be essentially a solar punk game, and I want it to be sizable, but I'm still trying to figure out how to optimize logic. I've only really released one dream for a jam, so I don't have much background on that. Most of my time in dreams is looking at a fresh, new, empty scene.
And crying?
Because I start on one thing,
Sorry.
crying. Well, no, because I don't feel anything anymore. I'm past that. I'm beyond that. Yeah,
You've evolved.
Broken you.
But yeah, I do have plans for that. And in the interim, I haven't participated in jams recently, but I do like participating in like asset jams just to I guess exercise my creative muscles. Because I used to be relatively creative back in grade school.
I used to be creative.
Yeah. I remember really enjoying doing art, but then I transitioned to math, and I neglected all other capabilities up until Dreams. So Dreams has been a great outlet for me, even if I don't publish many things.
Do you feel like
just creating itself is enough for me?
Do you feel like having a background in math is has that helped you with any of the Dreams logic you've tried to learn?
Yes and no, because I'm not really that good with software in particular. I do. It's helped with grasping, I think, some concepts that I guess require me to understand mathy subjects, such as vectors or anything that might be involved in trying to build up, I guess, a system.
I was going to ask when ACERT or RBD start talking about vectors, that's when my eyes glaze over and I go to a far off place.
Oh no!
SpongeBob when he's just drooling and his face is just blank.
Yeah. That's when I start listening to ACERT. I mean,
vector math is actually one of the more fun parts of calculus, believe it or not.
It is.
I don't think you meant that to be a dig, but it worked. It worked really well. No, that's when I start listening to ACERT. Oh.
Kataya, you savage.
Yeah, I also go to a different place when ACERT starts talking and says Kataya.
It's cool.
Poor ACERT can't even defend himself.
I can't believe we've been chatting for an hour 40 or so.
I feel like it.
Yeah, it does not feel like it. It's been flying by. We've only got 20 or so minutes left. Not even, well, if I'm honest to my guests, I told them I'd have them out in 12 minutes. So if we go over that, I'm just going to blame it on you.
I mean, I could keep going.
Yeah, we did start a little late, and that was partially my fault.
We had a little, I'm not going to do a camera. I'm going to do a camera. I'm going to be a prima donna about it. Now I need to fix my hair. He didn't fix his hair. You need to fix your hair, by the way. No, I'm
just calling it out.
Since we're
this is me on a good day.
we're getting low on time. I for the record, my hair was up when I went to sleep, and I have not touched it. I've only applied the hair covering so that you do not see what a mess I look like. But
it's a nice beanie.
Oh, thank you. My mom made it for real. She did. My mom knitted this cap, and that makes it cool.
Linear algebra is terrible. Falconrich, I feel you on that one. Especially because for whatever reason they expect you to do everything by hand.
Oh.
Linear algebra. I don't even know what linear algebra means.
You'll be happier if you don't.
Okay.
If you don't look into it.
And moving on.
Well, let me throw to the group and just say I want to know if there's just any topics of discussion in the Dreams community right now that you feel like getting into. Has anyone got a hot take they want to share, or a cold take, a lukewarm take? I'll microwave your takes. Whatever it takes.
Microwave them?
Yeah. I mean, we know hot takes are best out of the oven, but we could do, we can microwave if that works. I don't know. Yeah. Has anyone got anything on their minds? You think selectors are good?
Yeah.
I have a request. Kataya, could you please unblock me?
That took a turn. Never.
He says never.
Oh, no.
Never. Have you has anyone played any Dreams recently that really tickled their fancy? Anything that stood out? Say that. Sorry.
Trips Voyage.
Rips.
Trips
Voyage. I like that name. I mean, it took 3 times, but I like that name, Trips Voyage.
Wait, have you not played Trips Voyage?
It doesn't sound familiar. I'm gonna look it up on In Dreams right now.
It is.
It's not the Mario.
That's all the rage.
Tell me about it.
How out of the loop can you be?
Okay, I did see some Trips Voyage, I think, on the MM stream on Thursday.
Taya saying end the podcast.
The podcast, play it now.
Wow.
I do recommend you play it as soon as possible. It's basically like a Rare game. Not a Rare game, but a game made by the company Rare.
Okay.
As in Banjo-Kazooie style game.
I remember seeing this and thinking it has an orange kitty as the main character, so I 100%
that
have
too.
To
yeah, it's right up your alley.
But can I also say
significant?
Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna pull this up on the stream really quick.
Significant start to Dreams this year. Like, it's the first month of 2022, and we already have a game this good in Dreams. That is quite the start.
This title card is pretty unbelievable. The text down here.
Yep.
I don't even know. I mean, that's just a few sculpts. It's just sculpts, but that gradient
Really well
on
done.
the trips is so nice, and the drawing of the water and the clouds on the voyage.
Yep,
Damn.
that is top tier.
Damn, that is really good.
And I feel like only people in Dreams would really appreciate just how much effort it must have taken to create that.
Yeah.
I literally only have a single complaint about this game. Only one, and that's it.
And what is that?
It's like
Only one? No.
There is a level in this game. It's in the second cub level or whatever, and you are in the sky doing stuff, and there's a song that's playing, and it's not a song made in Dreams, but it's also not a copywritten song. I believe it's a what's the word? It's
public domain.
I just know it's not public domain song. Yeah, and I've heard it a million times in various YouTube videos, so I instantly recognized it, and I'm like, I hate that they use this, even though the song fits with the game visually and it's very upbeat, cartoony or whatever. But I hate that they use it.
Does anyone know what the song is?
I don't know what it's called, but I instantly recognized it the moment it plays, and it just it bugged me. Yeah, it's a royalty-free song. That's what I meant. Yeah, but everything else about this game is spot on, but that one song just bugs me. I'm like, every other part of this game is just perfect, and yet there's this one problem. This one.
I didn't even notice it.
This one bad spot.
Music is just, in a way, I feel like it's less reusable than other Dreams assets. And I mean, just relating what you're saying to to the experience of being in Dreams, and there'll be a really sweet piece of music, and by the 6th time you hear it in something, It's not like the music is any worse, but I kind of miss that it was attached to this other game in my mind. You know what though? I think I'm letting go of that because just the other day, I think we heard the track that's used in Binary Bash in a different game. And you know what? I had that feeling, I had that good feeling of when you see a sculpt that oh, my friend made that, or you see one of your things, like you see something from elsewhere pop up in a creation, and it made me happy. So, yeah.
I will say this is a bit different, though.
Yeah, that is a little different. Falcarich is correct. Invert. I almost had a complaint, but yeah, I should have known this game is too slick to have forgotten the invert. This game, it looks good and it plays good. I will definitely have to give that a spin.
Oh, do you invert in third-person games as well as first-person games, or is it different for you?
Oh yeah. And this game must have a custom camera. Do I invert in VR? Yes, everything actually is upside down to me in VR. So then I technically, I look down and I'm looking up, and yeah. Now
I genuinely don't know if you're serious.
I sit upright on stream because honestly, I think I don't want to be judged because the rest of the time when I'm not on camera, I actually sit on my head and play. And then I don't need the invert. That's the real problem. It's just I lead an inverted life. So I learned to play with normal controls, but then once I invert myself,
hang from the ceiling.
It's very complicated. It's very, very confusing.
Okay, so do you actually play with inverted when you're in VR? I assume not.
No. I don't know if that exists because there's no look stick, right?
By the way, has anyone seen that T-Rex animation?
Yes. Oh, I wanted to bring that up.
That was some nice little grassroots, marketing for Dreams right there. That tweet was doing a lot of heat.
Jeff Keighley actually retweeted it.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that made me happy. It looked really good too. Like I assume that's the person who's been making a Jurassic Park game for a long time.
T-Rex, that thing that they showed is in Dreams if you want to go look at it.
Oh.
Like they actually posted it in Dreams. I'll share it with you.
Nice.
Danny Kaka raised a good point.
Yeah. Have I tried moving to the Southern Hemisphere? No. In fact, I don't even think I think I've traveled to the Southern Hemisphere once, but it was kind of equatorial. So I was on my side.
If you just live in Australia, you'd be upside down the whole time.
Boy, do you think Dirty Harold's has a couch I can crash on?
Shared it with you, Keld, if you want to see it.
Yeah, we should show that on
beautiful
stream
T-Rex.
really quick. It was a nice moment on Twitter, just watching that get a lot of love. Honestly, like there's so much potential for exposure in Dreams just from people getting excited about things like that.
The amount of attention that people have been talking about, how what's going to be the thing in Dreams that just blows up and suddenly Dreams becomes widely known because of this one creation that just explodes. I feel like this Jurassic Park Operations game is going to be it. I have a feeling that this is going to look good enough. People are going to be like, oh my God, that looks amazing. And it just explodes.
It's possible.
This one scene alone got Jeff Keighley to make a tweet about it. I feel like the full game is going to be pretty big. Look at that. That looks so good.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
That, like, the fact that this is in Dreams just is nuts.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Yeah, and I mean, it's, it feels like...
It just shows you how good Dreams lighting is, honestly.
Really, I think the lighting has a lot to do with it. The sculpting tools are powerful, but I think the thing that really gives it that sense of depth and immersion is definitely the lighting.
Yeah, the rain effects are pretty good too. I mean,
good rain effects. For the audio listeners.
On the subject of intellectual property, Falcarich had asked, would an IP tag help Dreams creators so they can choose not to include IP assets by accident? I mean, I think the issue with that is, okay, I mean, from a user perspective, like for a user if people just started started doing that when I make something that isn't my intellectual property. I tag it. That could be useful, but unless everyone's
People don't
doing
use it.
like it's not going to solve that problem. Like you're still going to be
There's still going to be people who won't tag it appropriately.
Yeah. I think I know a lot of people who have run into that. Who they put a piece of music in. I think even like Pixel Gorilla just picked a random piece of music from Dreams. It might have even been created in Dreams, but it turned out to be like a piece of music from Minecraft. Like, you never know. You never know.
One of the reasons,
stuff like that.
if I go to stamp anything, it will only ever be like a absolute basic object that would be really difficult to be copywritten, like, I don't know, a chair or something. But any music or sound effects, I just stay clear away from that and just stick with MM's instruments or stuff like that. Or things that I know, like this song, like no songs, I'll just get instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything else is way too dangerous.
Yeah, and I think you couldn't. You're never going to have MM endorse tagging things
Really,
as intellectual property because that's just shining a light on stuff that's violating terms of service.
So MM's lawyers checked the song to see if it was actually Minecraft or not.
I don't know how they approach
So
that
Pixel
stuff.
just said.
I mean, anything that's nominated for IMPs goes through I think a pretty exhaustive process of screening by the lawyers. But how do they handle music? Like, obviously they don't just know every song that's ever been created. So I wonder how something like
maybe they
a song from Minecraft gets.
Maybe they
noticed.
Shazam it.
Oh.
They might. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Or probably something more sophisticated than that, like whatever YouTube uses.
I mean, if it's Shazamable,
Probably have some kind of tool.
If it's Shazamable, then I would think you might have a clue in the first place. Like when someone has ripped a song from outside of Dreams into Dreams, if you've got an ear for Dreams audio, you usually can tell right away that that's what is happening.
And also, MM could literally go into any scene they want to, if they wanted to. You just go in and see that the song's a sound effect.
They still won't know necessarily whether I wrote and recorded a song and then put it in Dreams, or whether I, ripped off someone else's work, or even harder to detect, if I covered someone else's song myself, either recording in Dreams or outside, and put it in my game.
Well, you know what they could do? If the song in question has lyrics, they could literally just type in the lyrics into Google, and the song will probably pop up if there is one.
That's true. That might be.
If you don't know what
the
name of a song is or something, but you know how the lyrics go, you could just type in. If you type in enough of the lyrics, the song will be there. The chances of those exact words being said in some other place is probably not very likely.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy way you could check, is this song original? Just go to Google, type in the lyrics, especially if you have all the lyrics.
Yeah.
Just type them all in and be like, do you find a song here? And if you do find a song, you listen to it, how similar is it?
That's a tough job. I do not envy the lawyers that need to comb through every aspect of every Impy nomination. But it is funny to think that one or more lawyers had to play through the entirety of Locke.
Yeah.
It's funny to think that there are people who work for Nintendo who spend their entire time just looking up copyrighted content and flagging it.
Do they actually do they actually self-police in that way? Oh, wait. No, you're talking about people looking for Nintendo's copyrights on other platforms. Is that what you're saying? Not in Nintendo user-generated content?
No, yeah, I'm saying like any time that anyone tries to make fan-related content for Nintendo's usually on top of it and, striking that stuff down.
Yeah.
There's fan-made Pokemon projects, and this is inside and outside of Dreams.
Yeah. They are litigious. Are they not?
That means that there's people out there who literally just spend their whole time looking for things to shut down.
That sounds like a depressing job.
Depends on who you are. Some people may find enjoyment.
That's true. I bet Pixel Gorilla would enjoy that job.
Watch me crush this guy's hopes and dreams right here.
About to end this man's whole career.
Oh, you spent how many hours on your pet project?
Not anymore. Kaboom.
Boo-hoo.
Oh, Pixel Gorilla
Probably
says
wait for a milestone.
it's the only thing Nintendo's got at this point because making good games seems to have gone out the window.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I haven't played a first-party Nintendo game in a while, so I can't really speak to it. But
Well, the problem
maybe
is
that
that
says
it's not
enough.
that they're not making good games. It's not that they're not making good games. They're making the same good games.
There
Very
you
true.
go. I lied. I did play Animal Crossing extensively for a few months when everyone was playing it, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of complaints.
Good game. Yeah.
Is that a first-party game, or is it just a very popular third-party game?
I'm pretty sure that's first party. Is it?
I think it's first party
Is
because
it?
Animal Crossing is not on any other platform.
I guess they did have an official Animal Crossing Switch. So
Yeah, it's first party.
Yeah.
That
That's a
makes
good.
sense.
That's a good tip off. Dreamers, I think it's time to wrap this thing up. It has been a pleasure talking with all of you. I hope to have all of you back in the future.
Yeah.
And
Maybe soon.
you could have waited till we're off stream to reject me, Milo. You could have. You made me cry without
kid.
spending channel points. Thanks a lot. No, now we have to do another minute of stream so I can calm down.
It's okay. I was holding in tears too.
Okay, I'm over it.
It's okay, Kelda. I won't reject you.
Aw, thank you. Does
The way my
anyone,
schedule is, I could be here every week.
Alpha? Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to plug before we wrap up?
You let to plug.
And I do have one thing.
Well,
Would you like to mention
I'm
the
starting my own
Eventualize?
podcast. Just wanted to mention that.
What'd you
That
say?
I'm starting. I said I'm starting
dreaming.
my own podcast. Just wanted to plug that in there.
Oh,
It's called
Just
Keep
kidding.
On Dreaming.
on dreaming. The only thing I can think of plugging is that I'm actually speaking of podcasts, I'm gonna be on another one on February 11th. I'll be returning to the other Dreams podcast, the Made in Dreams podcast, to talk more about the show Evolution.
I'm starting another Dreams podcast called the Totally Made in Dreams podcast. Just so
Totally
you know.
Made in Dreams.
Just so you know. Well, we'll be looking forward to that, Alpha, and looking forward to Evolution in November, an episodic series.
Precisely, November 5th.
Do you have any big announcements, Kel, that you wanted to let us know about? Any secret projects in development that you've been itching to tell us about?
I'm not ready to reveal anything secret, but I will say that in the near future, I want to have a panel on the podcast to talk about Dreamflick Season 2 and to throw around ideas and see what that might turn into. So, I mean, that is announced already. I think tentatively I'm going to bring it back in April, same month it started last year. And
So slight correction, I'm actually 27, not 28. I got the years mixed up.
So wait, am I not the youngest one here?
Well, it depends. When were you
Wait, you got your own
born?
age? September '94.
What day in September? Oh my God.
Well,
What day?
well, my birthday is actually easy to remember. It's 9/9.
You were born September 9th?
Yes.
I was born September 8th. I got you by a day. Woo!
Oh my God.
the same
I'm
year?
older than you by a single day.
Wow.
Damn. So I'm still the
Wow.
youngest.
Mm.
Hey, just
Respect
by a
your
day.
elders, Avox.
A single day. That is nuts.
Wow.
Avox, have you got anything you want to plug or any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Besides my new podcast,
Yeah.
no, not at this time.
actually
no,
have a
I am
new
working on
podcast?
a couple
It's
of different
called the
things,
Made
but,
Outside Dreams podcast. All right, sorry, go ahead.
And outside.
maybe just a little shout out to the Unexciting Asset Jams by Kataya. Been doing a really cool job on those, and I haven't been as involved lately as I was before, but been turning some really cool stuff out each week. So check that out if you haven't already.
Definitely worth checking out. That is, I've really enjoyed seeing how those have progressed over time. And so if you're not familiar, Kataya does the Unexciting Asset Jam. I believe it's Saturday nights. He puts together the scene with all the assets from the week, and then a new theme for the following week is selected. But they're asset packs. But he also puts together a whole scene so you can walk through and see the mechanics that people have made in action and stuff before you even stamp anything down. It is a lovely thing. And how nice to give your plug to someone else, Aevox. Master.
But don't worry, if I had anything coming up, I would shamelessly plug myself instead.
Oh, good. Well, make sure to wait to plug yourself until your camera is turned off. Master Miloarty.
Yeah, I guess I got two things to plug.
Ooh.
I do stream sometimes on Twitch. Dreams is usually half of what I stream, but recently I've been playing Miles Morales as well. Aevox. But once I'm out of all that, I'll get back to Dreams. And then the second thing, I guess I'm not sure if I said my stream name, but it's miloarty, and it's out in the chat now. And the second thing is the Keep Dreaming podcast with Caleb Peons et al. I'd like to plug that. So, yeah.
Well, Miloarty, you can plug that anytime you want. And on that note, it's been
you guys should really check out. You should really check out Kel Biones. He's I've heard he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
well, now 2 out of 3.
B. Jones is also a nice fella.
Okay, I'll take that. Endorsements from 3 out of 3 guests today. That means I did good. Shout out. Mm-hmm. Shout out for Keld B. Jones. We love him.
Keld, I'll give you a fourth one.
Keld is isolate approved.
Oh, the isolate approved. The isolate seal of approval. I'm on it. Lena also wants to endorse me. Lena. Meow. All right. And on that note, everybody, keep on keeping on, and also keep dreaming.
Look at you
Keep dreaming.
Yeah, you're totally allowed to talk over the outro now. That's how we're doing. We have credits. Oh no. Stop. Hold on. Stop the show. I didn't cut to the screen, so we missed the. There are credits now. There we go.
Credits now.
Graphic design by Mrs. Keld Biones. Theme music by Masher Buttons.
My friend.
Keld Puppets
Wait,
by
you let
PixelTuner92 and Mezzy
InsaneAlphaBeta
Artist. And other stuff. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Farewell.
Farewell.